Hello there, and welcome to another episode of my survival world. And today, I have a decision to make. I've been putting off doing this intro because I can't really decide what I want to do about the pit in Jabba's palace. So let's just go take a look, because I am in my creative copy at the moment. And we have this just initially to get the redstone in. I have a few options. So one is two sides which open up, so you can see there are pistons on each side, and obviously they can be covered up with this. I have some redstone torches underneath just to activate all of these trapdoors, so that could work out. Or instead of that, I could use a flying machine like the one I have here, but just lay it flat, and that looked pretty cool. The problem is that when it's closed, see here, you can see through the gaps and see down into the pit, but then you have this issue over here where you can see through here as well. I don't know about that. But with the slime blocks and the honey blocks, you would see them underneath the trapdoors. So if I want the proper activation of the floor moving backwards behind and underneath the trapdoors here, I would need to essentially use full blocks that won't be see-through. And then the final option that I have is to not actually have any redstone on this and just have like a pre-opened door that actually looks good, where I can use blocks that I want to use and make it look good. I'm leaning more towards the slime block and the slime block and honey block flying machine to make it have the proper activation, because I haven't used a lot of those, and it would be nice for it to be able to close up so that I don't actually fall into it by accident, because it would just be annoying flying back out all the time. But at the same time, I'm leaning towards the actual looking good side of it. So let me just test out some blocks. We'll see what I can do, and we'll just get on with actually finishing up this build, because at the moment it's just some basic. I've been chucking some blocks in to see how they look and trying to get a layout for a floor plan, and it's not going to be exactly the same as Jabba's palace because there's not enough space in here, to be honest. I mean, I tried doing the curved entrance, that didn't really work out, so now I have a bit of a straight entrance just right next to the door. And there's also there's a room here which leads up to some stairs which I cut out. And there's also a room between this one and this one which leads to the sides, and I've cut that out as well because there's not really a lot in those rooms anyway. These are the two main areas. So let me finish up designing this area, and we're going to jump to the time lapse of me building up this whole room. And as the sun rises over the back of Jabba's palace, it is now finished. And I am so happy with how everything came out. Taking my time with these builds has really made it more enjoyable to me, because I feel like I've put in a lot more detail, and I'm very happy with everything that I built, to be honest. There's not a part of it where I felt rushed or I felt like I was doing it wrong, and if something was wrong I just broke it and I started again. And yeah, it's just so good how it came out for me anyway. Obviously everyone has their own opinions. If you don't like it, you can feel free to tell me what parts you think could be better. But there is obviously one more thing we need to do inside of there, which is the armor stance. Now let's go take a look properly inside, because I know that time lapse was good, but you can't see every angle. So first off, we go through the front gate and you will find a stormtrooper helmet up here to show the Empire that they are not welcome in Jabba's palace. And then we have the jukebox here with the music disc, so we can whack in the pig step, which is my favourite disc, to be honest. And you have Jabba's throne over here and this little lever here. Now I did show earlier in the episode some of the workings of this, and I actually went through and changed it quite a bit, because I don't know why I had the impression that the trapdoor slid forwards and backwards. It's actually, it like drops down, and it's Jabba's throne that slides forwards. So yeah, I watched the scene again, and now you can see we have this opening sequence. It puts the whole block to the side, and this was really quite tricky to get working. So if I go into F4 here, you can see I have this little setup here with 2 copper bulbs as a switcher. That's because this 2 sticky pistons here, there's one inside here and one above, and it pushes the observer and the sticky piston out in order to push this up and down. And in order to get that to go at the correct times, I had to have 2 sequences. So this basically activates one of these. It will change the state of it, which sends an update, because it changes the state of the comparator, to the observer, and one goes after the double piston extender and one goes before the double piston extender. As well as that, the double piston extender, I couldn't find any upside down ones. Most of them have the redstone on top. So there's this weird setup I have here with a couple of torches and an observer and all this stuff going on in order to get that to work. But it does work all now properly and seamlessly, and you can see it just closes up fairly quickly, but it's really the opening that's quite quick that I like. Now let's take a sneak peek inside. You can see down there we have the Rancor in the pit, and it's cool that you can see it through the grate. If I come down here in the time lapse, you would have seen that I used blue torches. I did decide to change that up, because the blue ones, while they lit the walls, they wasn't really lighting up the Rancor, which was a bit annoying for me, because the whole reason to put the torches was to see it, and I wanted it to still feel dim in here, and that's why I've only put a few torches down here. And this is what I was mentioning with the doing it on a mushroom island, because now this is dark. I'm pretty sure mobs would spawn somewhere here. Yeah, so you can see it's got light level 0. Mobs would spawn in here, but they're not going to, because it's a mushroom island. Then obviously at the back we have the little door and the extra room where Luke tries to escape through this door, and there's really no space behind this. Okay, that's not going to work. So basically, yeah, there's no space, so I couldn't really do another room, so I just kind of put some frog lights behind it in order to wash it out and kind of make it look like there's something there. As well as up here I have the little trapdoor for the pipe where the guard tries to escape, and then we have this little hole in the floor where Luke is hiding under. The only problem with this is getting out. I usually hurt myself, I usually bang my head, but oh well. And I'm just going to close that up so I don't fall into that accidentally. There is another thing we added, which is the Wandering Trader heads and the Llama heads up here. So these are on display, and obviously in the middle here we're going to have the main attraction. The last thing in this area is obviously the farms. That's the main part. So I just have these rooms, not really decorated well or intentionally. This just has a black concrete behind it, which I couldn't get rid of because that's the outside of the building. And this is just where my carrots are. Moving all of these from the original spot was very annoying. Also, if you come around the back of Jabba's throne, there's another entrance up here, and you can see these rooms are very empty. I'm only going in here to grab resources, and it's not actually part of Jabba's palace, so I didn't need to do anything, and this way I can just put shulker boxes all the way along the walls if I want to make up a bunch of packed mud. And we have all of the hay bales, which is now up to 3 double chests, which is actually 27 double chests of hay. And the last one, if you come around the back of the stage here, we have the potato room, and again, empty room just for me to put shulker boxes. There's no need for me to decorate this room. It's really these 2 main rooms that are decorated. But I am super happy with how it came out. The only thing now left to do for Jabba's palace is the armor stands. That's it. I just need to do the armor stands, so let's get on with those now. So I'm going to start off with Han Solo in Carbonite because that is actually going to be really fun to do. So let's get these armor stands underway. And we're going to start off by trying to make a box as usual. So we're just going to make that flat and we're going to turn the arm. Which one is it? This one. We'll put it to 90 degrees. Then we can rotate this guy to 180. And now I need to increase the size. And this is where it becomes a question of, do I use 6 or 3 or 2 of these? What will be the best size? Yeah, I think this will be a little bit thick. So let me just scale that down. And I'm going to move this one. Is that alright? That's a decent size, isn't it? Alright, we're going to have to use multiple of these. Yeah, I think that's a good thickness. So we're going to do 4 more going up. And we'll see what it looks like when they're all done. Okay, so now we actually have the Carbonite with all the buttons on the side here, which I think looks quite cool. And all the little kind of clips or handles, whatever they are on the side that obviously holds it when you're moving it. I don't really know exactly what all the lines are on the side, but they're there. So that leaves one thing left to do, and that is put Han Solo in the Carbonite. And you might be wondering how I'm going to go about that. I have a few ideas, so let's get on with that. Well, I've decided that I need a particular item to finish off the Han Solo Carbonite, and it is 3,000 blocks away, so this is the long, fun travels once again. And here we are. I really wish I'd grabbed some of these when I came over to get some for the inside of Jabba's palace, but, you know, it is what it is. I don't have them. So which one do I want? That is the question. Which is the most suitable for my need? I think maybe this. I am starting to question my choice. I don't know if this will work or not, actually. And now, when we open the door, you are greeted to the sight at the back of one Han Solo in Carbonite. And look how cool that looks. Look at that. From the distance, it looks so good. It actually is really quite convincing. Unfortunately, when you get up close, you'll see I did use some of the corals for the hands. And I'm not overly keen on it, to be honest. But I just didn't want to have to place 10 candles in. And I might have to do it now, but then I'll need something for the palm of his hands. I think I'll leave it for now because I think from a distance it really is quite convincing. I think that's so cool. Look at that. I mean, even the lights on the side is probably my favourite part, to be honest. But yeah, that's really come out well. And this is what I was looking forward to. Doing this one in particular was definitely up there on my list. Let's move on to the next one, and I'll think about what I want to do about the hands, if I want to redo them, and yeah, try to do them a little bit better. Things are about to get pretty weird here. Yes, that is a grey shulker box in my inventory, because I am actually going to be using that in an armor stand. I couldn't find a better block, to be honest, and oh, I'm using a shulker box for a random decoration. That's quite interesting. And now I have done the droid on the door, and technically I know it's supposed to be actually on the door, but if I'd put it on there then all of the armor stands would get pushed around by the sticky pistons. But I did this because I wanted something nice and easy just to do a little win after doing the Carbonite, because that took a little while. And yeah, I think it looks quite cool, and this is what I was talking about with the shulker box, just for this thin line here. It's not exact, but I think it looks quite good just as a little simple add-on. But here's the question: is it going to get pushed around? Oh, I did it in the doorway. Wait, it didn't get pushed. A, I'm an idiot. I did it in the doorway. And B, it didn't get pushed around. What's going on there? Well, either way, it's going to look silly if it's only there when the door's open, so I'm going to have to move these. And that was quite easy to move, so now we should be fine just to use the door. And it's still there on the outside. And actually, because of the shaders, it actually lights it up. Because I think without shaders, the armor stands don't actually light things up. So that's pretty cool. Just kind of lights up the door. So I'll take that. Moving on to the next set of armor stands. I think now it's time to take on Jabba. And we're going to have a lot of things to do around here. So for this, I don't know how many updates there'll be. Maybe I'll just jump to it all being finished. or maybe I can just finish the whole thing out and we can do a little cinematic. Let's see what I decide to go with. Well, you guys enjoyed the wall of Jabbas last time, and I have delivered again. It just looks so funny every time I do it, just seeing a whole line of Jabba's heads lined up like that. Oh, I love it. It's brilliant. Let me finish off this Jabba and the little bits around him as well, and then we'll take a look when it's done. Okay, so now let's take another look inside of the throne room. So we come inside, and the first thing you notice is there are now campfires inside the cauldrons to give the flames, and it's really cool how you can just see Han Solo down the back there, as well as I've added these little lamps. Now that was why I put these tripwire hooks here, to kind of make like a little special lamp instead of just a regular torch or something. They're not exactly like the ones in the palace, but these are fairly close and they've got the double light look to them. But now look at Jabba and his little setup here. He's definitely a lot fatter than the one I did before, which is actually better for him, so that's fine. And now that I think about it, it does feel slightly off center, but I guess it's because his arm is holding onto this. But yeah, he's got his little smoke shisha pipe or drink, well, I don't really know what it is, but he's got his pipe that he can take out of it. And then up the back we also have this little barbecue setup up here, just with some meats and some drinks on there. And I think this looks really cool. We do need to add a few more characters around this, but yeah, I think everyone else that's left is not overly complicated. So what I might do now is, as I mentioned earlier, a little cinematic pass through. And I'm going to go through and do all of the characters in here, and some around here, and obviously some downstairs. And then we'll do a little camera angle for you guys. And I also added in a carpet here just to make this look like it's got a bit of a cover, and also something is hidden behind here. I have an ender chest. There's an ender chest that you can click through the carpet, so that's quite cool. Just hides that and it's available. Oh, there is particles, but we'll let that slide. So let's go through and finish up the rest of the armor stands for the inside of Jabba's palace.
You will take me to Jabba now.
Jedi mind.
Master Luke, you're standing on...
I ended up spending a good 6 or 7 hours going through and doing all of these armor stands and setting up that little cinematic shot, which, you know, I'll see what you guys think. What did you think? Did you enjoy that, or should I just stick to walking through and talking you through it? But we'll go and have a look at them now to talk a little bit more detail about how I actually went through and made those. So let's just go inside the palace one final time. And I mean, yeah, you can see I've got like a Jawa here, and these guys, I didn't do any guns for these people because, as you can tell, there are a lot of armor stands in this area. There is a lot of things going on, so I didn't want to get too overly complicated. We're still at the stage where no one's drawn their weapon yet, and obviously in the middle we have Luke with his hands held in front of him, just like in the movie, his hood back and down and the cape over him, and he's about to walk onto the platform and fall down. Then of course we have Leia in front of Jabba, with her little braid coming down, and his little rat, which to be honest is a lizard monkey, but I don't care enough to try and do him better because there is no skins for him. This is some random thing on the Minecraft skins. This has got nothing to do with Star Wars. I just picked it because it looked like a rat. I tried something a little bit different with this C-3PO. I used the yellow candles instead of the gold blocks, and I do think that looks a lot better. They're maybe a little bit thin, but his arms are thin. It's just a bit weird how they connect here. But everything else is the same as usual. And then we have a little Bib Fortuna again behind Jabba, whispering in his ear, getting told that he is an idiot. I decided to use potions and this kind of like cross formation. There's 3 potions in each one, and the top one definitely came out a lot better and is more central in order to do Jabba's drink thing, and I used the green and the white, so that's night vision and invisibility potions. I didn't put anything extra in the room with Han Solo because, to be honest, I'm not going to be coming up here a lot. This is more just to look at it from the back room. I put one guy up here just to show that there's some people in there. We've got Lando Calrissian here with his helmet on. The skins for Lando with his helmet on weren't particularly great. This is more of a cartoony one rather than some of these like more, I don't know, it's like they're trying to put more detail in this one, and then this is like the more Minecrafty cartoon look. But it's still great and it does the job, I'm not complaining. And of course we have a Boba Fett in the corner. Something I didn't do before was put his little rangefinder on his helmet, and the hoe is the perfect item for that. If there was an emerald hoe, I would have used that, but it actually just does the job properly. And then yeah, we just got a couple more of these. Now coming into the band. Now of course I know, technically in this scene Han Solo isn't in carbonite, and in this scene these guys are in front of Han Solo, but I wanted it to be that you can see him, and this way it just kind of creates like a channel for you to walk down, and it keeps everything around the room, and you still got the middle where you can come and have a look into the Rancor pit. So we got this little guy here, don't know what his name is, I can't remember it, but he's basically a frog, and he has a little harmonica type thing that connects to the thing he sits on, which I thought the sword looked quite cool for that. Then we have the Rodian and the band member. I think there's a backstory to this guy. He's like the cousin or uncle of one of the ones in the cantina, and he was coming to Tatooine to join them, but then he didn't like them or the way they were doing it, so he ended up joining Max Rebo's band. It's an interesting little storyline, but I made these 2 little saxophones, and his one had some kind of lines on it, so I just stacked up a few of the lightning rods. I think that worked quite well. Obviously we have a or Psy, I don't know how you pronounce it, Snoodles. Her little face with the long mouth, and the red dye actually looks quite good for lips. They're not good for like normal lips, but for hers they work because they are a little bit messed up. Then we have the deep voice singer, not sure of his name. I did find it, but it's like one of those ones that's really difficult to say. And then we have Max Rebo in the back on some custom drums. They're not the same as his drums, but it's just there to get the point across. And you can still access all of the music discs and the jukebox. Now you may notice something about this backup dancer here. This is not a Star Wars skin. I couldn't find any skin for that character, and I needed a redhead, and I just happened to have some of these zombie Cleo heads in my shulker box where I have all of the sort of mob heads and hermit heads that I've bought off of the Wandering Trader, just in case I ever needed them. And there you go, it came in handy because I now have a redhead with some kind of stuff around. I know she's got like a reef around her head there, but the character has like actual markings for her species, but it does the job, I think. Obviously her hair is much more bushy, but I wasn't going to go into that much detail. I could have used some of the coral blocks, maybe that would have worked. But yeah, she's just a backup dancer, and the main backup dancer obviously is the other Rodian here with the yellow mohawk. And I think the hay does a really good job of looking like that. I think it looks really cool, and it doesn't need to be 3D because you're only looking at it from this perspective. And again, we just got some of the armor trims on these to make their outfits. And then lastly, we have a pirate here banging on a drum. Technically the drum, again, it's like here right in front of Han Solo, which I'm not doing that. I'm not putting it there. And it's double-sided, and you had two pirates. So yeah, I just kind of chucked it on the end, and it's nothing too detailed. It's just there to fill out that end part. But overall, I think there was a lot of really good armor stands that went into this. And, you know, obviously this scene right here with Jabba, this is pretty amazing for me. I love this. It came together really nicely. I did run into some issues, so you'll notice from earlier this was like one green line, now it's two. That's because I had to make the heads smaller because the armor stand was going down and actually getting pushed by this. But now we are okay. It's not getting pushed, so I can open this whenever I like. And of course we put some armor stands down in the Rancor pit. First of which being the bone in the mouth. He is, you know, he's got his mouth wide open. Of course there's going to be a bone in there. And then we also have two of these guards. One is being held by the Rancor. Technically when the bone is in his mouth, this one's already been eaten. And also this one is this one. There's only one guard that actually goes down with Luke. But I wanted to have both. It's fine. I'm combining a lot of scenes here because I have one room. I made this little rib cage here with the bones and just scattered a bunch of bones about. And lastly, of all the armor stands, we've got a little Luke hiding out under in this hole. So technically that is accurate for him having that in his mouth, and he goes and hides in at that point. So that works, but yeah, it's just quite funny. And no one's really going to see that if they haven't seen this part of the episode. But there is one more thing that I want to add in here, and that is some sound effects. We can use the Wither Skeleton skulls and maybe the Wither Skull to like activate the initial opening of these gates. So I'll try and do something about that. Maybe by the end of the episode I will show you how that works. But for now, I've actually started looking at moving on to the final build for Tatooine, and I am looking forward to this. I am looking forward to finishing Tatooine for one. Not that I am not enjoying it. I've absolutely loved doing this Jabba's Palace. Every step of it was so much fun to do. But just to actually see the whole island complete. So let's just jump over into a creative copy of this world, where I have started doing a layout for the final build. And you know, some of you have already guessed what it is. There's really only one thing left that I should be building, and this is what I have worked out so far. And as you can tell, this is going to be a condensed version of Mos Eisley. Obviously I'm not going to fit the whole thing in here, but I'm just going to get in some of the main buildings, and you may even be able to tell what a couple of these buildings are just by looking at it. So obviously this is going to be like the main street area. These iron blocks are just to signify where I'm going to put some of the moisture collectors. This is probably the one you could have a good guess. You can probably tell what this building is going to be, and that is the cantina. Same with this one. You can probably tell from the shape what this is going to be, and that will be a landing bay. And you might be able to tell these two because in most images they're pretty prevalent. There's like a business tower, which is a kind of trapezoid shaped tower, and then this one is like a building with a rounded tower on top of it, and they just kind of frame the end of the street. But also you might be wondering what I'm going to do with all these buildings. And if we count them up, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17, just for the regular buildings, my plan is to have each one of them be a different color wall form. Just because there's so many, that's the best place to have like multiple different, and then I can have multiple sheep in each one. For these two, I have not made a decision yet. They're both going to be towers. I could put some different things in there, so I'll get to those when I start building them. As for the landing pad, obviously I'm going to build some form of vehicle in there, whatever I can fit. I would love to do a Millennium Falcon, but I don't think it's going to fit in a 30 block gap. And this vehicle here, whatever one I go with, is actually going to have another nether portal in it. And you may be wondering why. Why would you need two nether portals so close together? Well, don't worry about that. That's for a future project, and I have a pretty good idea of what to do on that, and it's going to take me a while. So, little reveal for my big project I've mentioned before, because we are almost at the stage for actually doing it. And then yeah, obviously the cantina. There's only one thing we're putting in the cantina, and that is potions. So I need to kind of decide like what order I'm going to do this in. Do I build all the buildings first, or do I build the cantina and the farm, and then the towers and the farms, and then all of the little ones and farms, etc, etc. But I think what we'll do is we'll do a bit of landscaping. We will lay this out in the survival world, and I'll just try and build them one at a time. I'll just make each building one at a time, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll take it from there. So I have now flattened out this area and laid out all of the buildings. And you can see some of them, they're a bit dodgy on the edges because I didn't completely flatten it because it was taking a long time and it was taking a lot of sand. Like this whole area would take a lot to do. So we'll probably just go around and do these edges when I actually get to building them, and just kind of leave the middle part a bit lower maybe. But I think that's a job for next episode, because we're going to start doing some serious work on these buildings next episode. So I might as well do that all together. But now I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to move on to a different project because this is something that I wanted to add onto the island. But to be honest, looking around, there's not really a lot of space to build it. There's not anywhere for me to do this scene that I wanted to do. So I started adding this little extension because I don't need a lot of space for it. And that is going to be, if you can tell from these resources, the Naboo Royal Starship that I built up in the creative build last week that I released. So it was a bit of a spoiler, but along with that, there is something else we want to do. I am finally going to build up my first lightsaber battle. Yes, lightsaber on lightsaber. I have been waiting for this for so long. All of these builds, and I haven't built a single lightsaber duel. So we're going to be building Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. But first, let's build the Nubian, and then we'll come back and deal with the armor stands. And that is one Naboo Royal Starfighter built up now, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. To be honest, I was going to go with it a little bit smaller. This is actually like a 1-to-1 scale. It's about 77 blocks long, and it should be 76, or 76 meters long, right? So this is pretty much a 1-to-1 scale, and I thought that was going to be way too big, but because it's thin and small in the other dimensions, it's just the length that's quite long. It actually, I think it fits in just fine, and if I'd done it smaller, it probably would have looked really small next to everything and not really fit in very well. So I'm actually glad it turned out that way. Maybe it's a little bit low, but obviously you want to get it where it looks like they're coming in to pick up Qui-Gon. But now that that's done, let's take a look at doing this armor stand. And I can't remember where my armor stand boxes are. I think they're in my ender chest, but let me double check. You know what? The issue here, I don't have any Darth Maul heads yet. No, I'm going to have to go and blow myself up again. Oh my goodness. I've got Qui-Gon Jinn heads, but I don't have the Anakin ones.
Anakin!
Darth Maul.
Do you know what? Let me just do a bit of tidy up first. I'm going to go around and I'm just going to tidy up some of these shulker boxes. And I've got a bunch in my storage space as well that I need to empty out. So yeah, let me just go and do all that, and we'll come back once I have all the items I need. Well, I have the first poses in, and I think it's a good start. You can see Qui-Gon's got his arms to the side. The only unfortunate thing is you can't really bend the elbows, so they don't quite connect up properly. But I think this is the best we're going to get with the armor stand for his pose, and Darth Maul is getting ready to lunge in. Now we need to try and animate these. So let me grab some of these items that I have in my inventory, because I should be able to basically place down these books that I have copied some poses from. And then if I take some redstone in here, we'll put some here and here. And then we just put a button down here. It should, in theory, No. It's not working. Oh, why is it not working? Right, let me go and watch the video again and I'll see what I can find. So it turns out I didn't actually have the up-to-date version of the armor stand book, so that might be why. I definitely had an older version. I had 2.8 and the Vanilla Tweaks one is actually not up to date, so I had to get it from Curse Forge. I guess they're not doing that anymore. The advantage is now I can just make the book this way. I don't have to type it out anymore, which is absolutely lovely. So let's see if I can go over here and we will check target. We got this guy, and then if I copy, I may have made a mistake there. I only needed to copy on one. Right, let me copy again. So I'm just going to use Darth Maul's pose as a temporary test. There's no point moving Qui-Gon around. So let's go and put these down again now, and we'll put that there, and we will put this here, and then we need repeater, 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 and redstone dust in the corners, and then the button again. Now this is the new book. Oh my goodness. Oh, what's going on? What is this? Alright, I'm gonna have to go do a bit more research. I'll be back. Right, it seems there is a command that needs to be done. I guess we'll try this. Item frame animation time. Oh, hang on. Is this it? Right, if I change the time here, 16 ticks, that's nearly 1 second. You know what, let me just try 8, because this isn't a server, this is just my world. Oh! Yeah! Yes! It's working. Okay, we can do this. Right, I'm going to put him back to his original position. Right, let's get on with this, and I will come up with something to get these guys in an actual fight. I'm not going to lie, I'm getting really, really excited about this. Look at this. Oh, this is going to be so good. Oh my gosh. Oh man. It's taken a little while to get through all of these, right? I can't lie, doing these books and like adjusting them, because I've got a little method going where basically some of them I don't do the stand correctly the first time. So what I have to do is like I cut it off here, and then I'll click the button so that it goes into the position that I want to adjust, because like this one, when I was doing it, the arm was too low, so it looked kind of weird going through the things. I'll take the book, I'll readjust the arm, save that, and then I will put this back, and then you can see we come up with this. Look at that, nice and fluid movement. I mean, obviously it's a bit jerky, but you know, it is still just armor stands. Now I'm going to finish up Qui-Gon, and then I'll do all of Darth Maul's movements, and I'll get them in the positions so that they're actually connecting their blades. And then we'll take a look when I come back. It is now finished, and there is not a better lightsaber duel for me to do for the first animated one in this series, because technically this is the first time that the Jedi faced the Sith in a very, very long time. So it's really nice, you know, this is the appearance of Maul, and it's the appearance of the animation. But wait a minute, it's not moving. That's because I installed a switch, just so I can turn it off. And look at this go. This is so good, it's so cool. Just seeing them actually dueling. Now, obviously, this is my first attempt, so there is a little bit of dodginess in there. There's some things that went a little bit wrong, or like, for example, I didn't do Maul's feet. I think it kind of works still, because he's kind of on the front foot, and the idea was to have Qui-Gon like he's trying to back away. But also, it was just a bit of a practice run, mainly so that when I do Mustafar, I can do the Obi-Wan and Anakin scenes, and I will take a little bit more care on those and try to get the body positioning just right. But you can see, like, I've got the heads moving, Maul is looking where he's attacking, and Qui-Gon is just keeping his head up and, you know, just trying to step back. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this came out. I mean, it just looks brilliant. Yeah, look at that in the sunset, lightsabers going. That's amazing. We do have a bit of an issue with this area now though. When it gets dark, mobs do spawn on this. And I'm not really sure how to spawn proof it because I don't want to light the whole thing up. And I don't want to put carpets on it because the reflections on the iron actually works really well for this ship. So I think I'm just going to have to keep away from the area. I mean, it's not too bad. They don't really jump off of it except from like skeletons maybe because they see you from quite far. All I can do is just fly away and they will despawn not even too far, just on the other side of the island. But that leaves one thing left to do for this episode, and that will be the sounds inside of Jabba's palace. And I just want to do it for the main gate and for the trapdoor inside as well. So let me see what I can do about those. I have added in some sounds, and some of them are slightly questionable and some of them are slightly better. And this one, for example, slightly questionable. It's not quite there. Maybe I'll have to make like one of those custom music discs with the lightsaber sounds, or maybe I'll make like a custom player head sound. We'll see what I do about that. But also I added these sounds into Jabba's palace. So if we go over here now, you will see that when I open this door, it's got some sound effects on there. As well as this over here, I added an extra sound that I didn't mention before. Did you hear that? That's the camel head, which makes quite a good sound, but also as I walk around here, it will just play multiple of the camel head sounds. Just thought that sounded kind of like a rancor, like not exactly, but it's the best of the mobs. So, you know, one for when it opens is up here, and then I've got a few down underneath as well. And I did feel a bit bad about going around and killing all of these allays and camels, but I needed the head, so what else am I going to do? Well, that marks the end of this episode, and you may have noticed at some point during the episode there were some slight changes to my textures. That's because I wanted the non-brick version for the Naboo Starfighter, and while I was there I was just having a look through and I realised the brown cape actually might be better for, you know, my Jedi robes look, although right now it's the Darth Maul clothes, so that doesn't really suit. But also it's the lightsabers. The purple enchantment glint just changes the colour of the lightsabers, whereas I think the white one just kind of, it still isn't great, but it doesn't change the colour. It keeps the blue or the green, and yeah, it was kind of bugging me that that was happening. But now this kind of marks the beginning of the end for Tatooine. For next episode, we're going to begin to make Mos Eisley, and I mean this is going to be a multiple episode project, don't get me wrong, but this will be the final project of Tatooine. And we've come so far through all of these builds, and it's really starting to come together, and I just cannot wait to get onto this last island now, because once that's done, then this whole area will be like uniform in the sense that it all is Star Wars islands instead of this random purple lump just sitting in the corner of the view. And also I really need a super smelter, if I'm honest. I really need one. But that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. I have spoken.